So welcome to another tech video. Today we're going to be having a look at the Tenda Nova. This is the MW12. So this is the Tenda Nova MW12. It's a Tri Band unit, and you get 3 in the box in this one. This is a mesh Wi-Fi system from Tenda. So far, our previous experience has been pretty good with them. We've been installing sort of MW3s previously, and MW3s. So we thought we'd try the MW12s. These are AC2100 Tri Band whole home Wi-Fi system, and as it says on the back here, the data rate is AC2100, up to 6,000 square feet, and supports up to 12 nodes joined together in a single mesh with 120 devices spread across the mesh network. So we're going to be looking at this today. So let's see if we can get the unit opened up. Inside the box should be 3 units. Nice little open sign on there telling you where to open it. Very useful. Okay, as expected, it's the same as the other units, but fancier packaging, and we get 3. So we get one WAN port and 2 LAN ports. These are all gigabit ports, so that is pretty good. Nice, yes. Right, and then we can take the power adapter. So we're going to plug this in. Don't know if these can be powered with PoE. I don't think they can. So we're going to be using the power adapter. So we just need to set up one first of all. So we're going to take our unit. I'm going to plug this into the wall, switch it on, and that plugs into the unit there. And then I'm going to take an Ethernet cable. So this is just a LAN port basically, but I'm going to plug that in the wired WAN port, which is that one there, and then we're going to wait and see what happens. So as you can see here, we've got a green light and it is now flashing. And then we're going to take our mobile phone. We're going to open up the Tenda app on the phone. So once you've got your Tenda Nova unit plugged in, and you've got a solid green light on it, which we do, we've got a connection back to our router, and we've got a power cable in there. The LAN cable, or the connection that goes back to the router, goes into the WAN port, which is the blue globe symbol on here. And then the next thing that you want to do is take a note of the SSID and password and QR code that's on the bottom. So you can either scan the QR code to join the Nova Wi-Fi, or you can enter it manually. So let's now go and have a look at our Tenda app. So you find the Tenda app on the phone, you click on it, and we are going to add a connection. So the first thing you'll see is a blank screen here. So what you want to do is you want to close off the Tenda Nova app. You want to go to your Wi-Fi settings. So we're going to go into our Wi-Fi. We're going to find our Nova device that's listed, and we're going to select that, and we're going to enter the password that's written on the bottom of the unit here. So in this case it is Park9379, and we're going to click on join. So this is going to give us a direct connection to the Tenda unit, And we can see here on the phone that we are now connected. So we're going to go back, we're going to close off that, we're going to go back to our Tenda Nova app and we're going to open it. So we're going to go into Tenda Wi-Fi and we're going to click on plus. And there it comes up. We can see that we've got the ability to control now. So we're going to click on control now. And we're then going to click on setup. And it's now going to go off and determine what type of network connection that we've got between our unit and the router. So in our case it will be DHCP. And there we go. So our internet connection type is dynamic IP. So it's a dynamic IP address. It's picked up from the router. So we're going to click on next. And then we're going to give it a Wi-Fi name. So if you've got a current Wi-Fi set up in your home, then our advice is to create the same SSID and same passphrase as that, because then all of your devices in the network will automatically join it. You won't need to rejoin anything to the network. So I'm going to put it, this one as test network, and I'm going to give it a passphrase, test, all lowercase actually, test 1 2 3 exclamation mark. So at this point you would have entered the SSID or the name for your Wi-Fi, which could be VM23862 if it's a Virgin Media, or could be BT Hub if it's BT Hub, or TalkTalk, or whatever you want to call it. Choose the same Wi-Fi that your router is doing, and then click on OK. And that then creates the Wi-Fi connection on this device. Okay, so that was successful. So that is now done. So now what you can do is, with your other Tenda Nova devices, you can then go ahead and plug those in because the configuration is already done on the base unit. So the next thing is we're going to take another power supply. And we're going to plug our other Tenda Nova units into the network. So the way that you connect these are simply you just plug a power cable in to the power port there, switch it on. That will then find the other Tenda Novas, and the configuration will sync around between them. So let's just move that out of the way, and we're going to plug that in, and all we're going to do is we're going to plug the power cable into that one, and that's all we need to do. So you can see here that the green light will come on, it'll start flashing, and then it will talk to the other Tenda Nova unit, and you can see that the light's flashing here. This one is on solid green. Once it's got its connection and it's talked to the other Nova unit, that will go solid green as well. So let's go now back to our Tenda Wi-Fi app, and we're going to click on next. We're going to click on next. We're going to power on the Nova, which we've done, and then we're going to check the connection based on the LED. So you want to make sure that this goes solid green eventually. It'll take a little while, and I'm going to click on IC. And here we've got our test network. So we can see on the device now we've got our primary node in green. We've got our secondary node that's just starting up. You will see the secondary node that we've added become visible on the app as well. So if you look here, we've now got a solid green light, one, and a solid green light on there. So this will eventually tell us that our second node is connected. There we go. So our second node has now gone green. So that is the second unit all pre-configured. And now we can take our third unit. So it's always best to do them one at a time. Take our third unit, and we're going to plug that in as well. So we've now got our main router unit, our secondary node and our third node. Our third node should be in startup sequence, so let's wait and see. That light should start flashing, which it does. And then on the app you will see the third unit go green as well once it's picked up its configuration from the main router. And the next thing we want to do is on the app we want to go into our wireless settings just to double check to make sure that it's listed correctly, which it is. Then we can go into our guest network. If you want to set up a guest network, you've got the ability to do that from here. You just toggle the guest network button on and you can create a second Wi-Fi name and password for your guests that join you. We're going to leave that switched off. Parental control. This is useful if you want to control your kids' devices, so you can list them in a group and then disable internet access for a whole group at a time. But that's how you can do that. I'm not going to add a group in this instance. The most important one for us is this next option called Internet Settings. So we're going to go in here, and at the moment it's set to connection type DHCP. What this means is that you've got the full functionality on all of the Nova devices, and it's picking up an IP address from your router. Now, inadvertently, this is the wrong way to do it because you're using your router as the router, but you're also using this first Tenda Nova unit as a router. So you end up with what's called double network address translation. So it'll translate all of the clients that are joined to the Nova unit into its WAN IP address, which happens to be a LAN IP address of your router, and it's then got to translate that as well. So what you want to do is under your connection type, you want to set your connection type to be bridge mode. And once you've saved that as bridge mode, we can click on save and the devices will restart. This is going to disable a lot of the functionality on the Nova unit, and it's going to use all of the functionality from the router. So that means that you're only going to be doing one lot of address translation, which is actually on the router. These just act as dumb access points once you've done that. So that's all you need to do, but that's a really important one because it makes your network more efficient and you won't run into problems in terms of trying to troubleshoot connectivity problems, for instance. You should always try and set your Nova units up in bridge mode if you're using the routing functions on your router. The time that you would use this potentially is if your router is set to bridge mode directly, or if your router is set as set to modem mode in terms of a Virgin Media router. So once the units have all rebooted, these are now in bridge mode. We can go into our settings, and as you can see here, our stuff that we could do previously, things like setting up groups for your kids and stuff, that is now all disabled because all of that functionality has been switched off on these devices. So all you can do is configure the Wi-Fi name on these units, which can be separate still. You don't get a guest mode either. Internet settings, we are set to bridge mode, which is correct in the use case that I've specified here. And then you've got the ability to add additional Nova units if you want to add 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many on your site. Fast roaming, this enables the faster switching between units, and this is recommended for really new clients, things like iOS devices, so iPhones, iPads, all the new kit like that. Fast roaming, you can enable that on here. Otherwise, if you've got old devices that are moving, like old Android tablets, leave that switched off. And then capacity orientated mode, you can switch this on when you've got over 30 clients connecting on your device. By default it's enabled, but you can switch it off if you want to. And then your smart assistant, so this will integrate things like, it will integrate with things like Alexa, all of the voice assistants. WPS, so this gives you the ability to enable WPS on your device to make joining your network a lot easier for things like printers and stuff like that that prefer to use WPS to join a Wi-Fi network. And depending on where you're located, you can do that from any of the devices itself under the WPS option. Date and time. So I'm going to leave all of that as standard. It's picked up where we're European. And if you wanted to enable daylight saving time, then you can just toggle that switch on there like that, which I can do. I'm going to leave that on. And then the final thing is check to see if you've got any firmware upgrades. So click on firmware update. And we're going to click on detect latest version just to see if there's any versions available, which there is. So there's a new version available, as it says here, new, and then we can click on update now. That will then download the firmware, push it out to the Nova units, and they will be updated with the latest version. So we're going to let those upgrade. It says we've got 4 minutes. Okay, and then it tells you that the upgrade has been successful. We can now go in and check our version. So it's 161, which is the latest. So we're going to click on detect new version. It says there's another new version available. So let's just go back and come out of the app completely. Turn that off. Okay, now we're going to go back into the app. Just going to double check about the firmware version again. Okay, so we're going to click on settings, scroll down for firmware upgrade. Okay, so it's 6641, so it's now picked it up. Okay, so we're on the latest version now, so that's one thing to always make sure you're on the latest version. And that's it. So now we should be able to go to My Wi-Fi. And we should be able to click on our globe in the center, and this will give us information about the connection that we have. So it all seems to be working. Let's now go and make sure that we are on the test network. So we can do a speed test. Okay, so if we join it, let's join the test network. Test 1, 2, 3. Exclamation mark, I think it was. Yep. So we've now joined the Wi-Fi network that these are using. However, obviously, if we weren't on the same network, then that's what you would need to do. You need to make sure that you join the Nova network. And now we can go back and we can go back into our Tenda Wi-Fi app. Again, we can click on let's click on the globe. Okay, that all looks all right. And we can see on the app, it tells you which node you're connected to. So I'm connected to a secondary node, but we can click on that secondary node and we can go in and we can give it a name. So we can click on device location and we can call this whatever. So let's go in and call this, I don't know, kitchen, for instance, if we were in the kitchen. And that then will name it as the kitchen. If we click on our main router device and we go into, where's it gone? Device location, so gateway. So this would be somewhere like, I don't know, office, for instance. And it tells us on the unit itself that it's the gateway. We go back, so we've got kitchen, primary node will be office, which it is, and then we can do our secondary node. And you can put that one, I don't know, so we'll call that bedroom, we'll put that upstairs. And there you've got your devices. It tells you how many devices are connected, so we can click on connected devices and we can see the list of connected devices. Smart Assistant, WPS, firmware upgrade, maintenance schedule. Don't need a maintenance schedule, but if you wanted to enable a system reboot, you can enable that. I'm going to disable it, but you can enable the system reboot on any day you want at any time. So now we're on the test network. Let's just go and get rid of that. We'll go to Google. I'm going to go and do a Google speed test. Okay, so we're connected to the test Wi-Fi network, so these are on the Tenda Nova units themselves. Our broadband speed connection is 220 apparently, but we're getting 240, so we must be on 250 gig. The Virgin Media just gave us a small upgrade, 25 meg upload and 250 download. So we're getting the full speed there, which is brilliant through our Wi-Fi network. And the next thing we want to do is just a matter of go off and strategically place these around your home. If you've got solid brick walls, then you want to make sure that they are, you get a green good light. That's the secret to these basically. You want to always make sure that you've got a green light so you've got good connectivity between all of the units. So in terms of setting up of the Tenda Nova unit, that is now completed. So if you found that video useful, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I just want to say thanks for watching. Hope you found it useful, and we'll see you in the next one.